The birth certificate is collateral, the creation of the legal person. One. The paper child. When a child is born, two events occur. One is biological, the arrival of a living being. The other is administrative, the registration of a legal entity. One cries, the other signs. Most people grow up confusing the two. The birth certificate is not a celebration of life, it's an instrument of record. It acknowledges that a new account has entered the system. The hospital records the event, the registrar files it, and the state issues a certificate of live birth, not to the child, but about the child. So what does that actually mean? It means you were securitized before you could walk. Footnote. Birth registration creates a separate legal persona used for identification and financial tracking within state and commercial systems. 2. The mirror identity. Every certificate acts as a mirror. One reflects the living being, the other reflects the corporate construct. The legal name written in capital letters represents the entity that can be taxed, sued, licensed, or fined. The living being, by contrast, remains largely invisible in the paperwork. The system doesn't steal your life, it simply creates a duplicate that can be managed. Governments can't interact with flesh and blood, but they can easily interact with forms and numbers. That's why the state always wants your name, not you. So what does that actually mean? It means the government doesn't see citizens. It sees inventory. Footnote. The capitalized legal name functions as a corporate entity distinct from the living being, allowing the state to transact through representative identity. 3. The use of collateral. Once registered, the birth record becomes an entry in a vast accounting system, the state's balance sheet of human capital. Each person represents potential productivity, taxable income, and liability coverage. Governments issue bonds against future labor, just as corporations issue shares against projected profits. This isn't conspiracy, it's accounting. The certificate functions as proof of claim, an asset for the system, a liability for the bearer. In commercial law, every liability somewhere is an asset elsewhere. So what does that actually mean? It means you were born valuable, just not in the way you expected. Footnote. Birth records serve as monetized proof of human capital, forming the basis for state-backed securities and future revenue projections. 4. The path to reclamation. If the system can create a paper version of you, logic dictates it can also recognize the living principle behind it. Reclamation is not about rebellion, it's about authorship. By identifying yourself as the source of the record, you reverse the presumption of ownership. In simple terms, you stop acting as collateral and start acting as creditor. The paperwork doesn't disappear, it simply returns to its rightful hierarchy, the living above the legal, the creator above the creation. So what does that actually mean? It means you don't tear down the system, you sign over it. Footnote. Reclaiming authorship of registered identity reestablishes the living being as the superior principle over its derivative legal entity.